Hello everyone, it's been a while, but I had some free time, so here is the video you have all been waiting for. For those of you who don't know what this is about, I am debunking Warrior Z's response video. You can watch the playlist shown above or in the pinned comment for the full context. Let's jump right back into this can of worms, shall we?
Standing in our way until we see each other again.
That's under the assumption that I was only talking about videos.
The videos I've been referring to for the past few discourses are what Warrior L brought up as proof of inconsistencies. I'm referring to something he has shown, yet in his infinite wisdom, he tries to deny ever doing so. Here are the videos he showed, along with bot scaling from goddamn Discord of all places.
Then you're talking as if authors speaking in interviews or videos are not official material, which wouldn't make sense as you use them yourself.
Meanwhile,
You've probably seen a few or many God of War cosmology scalings by now, and many of them vary. They vary so much that they contradict each other.
These are the videos I'm referring to, not the developer interviews. I literally said that these videos shown here do not affect official material, with official interviews and statements falling under this category. Warrior L once again started with a strawman due to his inability to comprehend simple English.
Except that it is.
This is just invincible ignorance at this point. I've repeatedly shown that no official material so much as implies that the tree is infinite, yet this retard never understood this. It's not surprising, considering the fact that his English is so bad he probably skipped those classes at school so he could go looking for self-validation.
So it's funny how you attack the claim in the video before the argument instead of waiting for the argument for that claim.
Unlike you, I actually bothered to watch the video a few times to understand your arguments and associated claims before responding.
And you got the entire argument wrong. I never said using author statements as evidence is not an appeal to authority because the author statements are evidence. I said these author statements are made by figures who have a level of authority over this franchise in which they use evidence from the noble and media and are shown to agree with the interpretations as I've shown in the video. Also, I said other statements at the end of the sentence, not other statements. You probably misheard, which isn't even surprising at all.
Oh, I misheard it now, did I? Let's play them again and compare your author with other.
Authors, other statements. Authors, other statements. Other statements.
psych!
Authors, other statements. Authors, other statements. Other statement. I also said they acknowledge these interpretation via repeatedly showing to like these posts.
Yeah, let's just ignore them flat out saying it's wrong because they liked an ambiguous statement.
Also, simply calling it a fake scan doesn't make it a fake scan. You never provided any argument for that either.
You gave these images to support your claims. Thus, it is your burden to prove the authenticity of your sources. Telling me to do it is shifting the burden of proof. An amateur mistake. Why don't you link all your sources like I do so anyone can verify their authenticity?
What's funny is that he's gonna keep calling fallacies and razors in order to form a refutation.
I keep calling out logical fallacies because you keep making them. Your attempts at damage control are pathetic.
So a non sequitur means a conclusion that doesn't follow the set of premises or premise. You didn't even give a formal argument for that. This is a hasty generalization, a common logical fallacy. The use of transcendence can be literal or metaphorical depending on the context. Yggdrasil, the world tree, is depicted as a cosmic entity that connects different realms and has its divine nature.
The argument presents a non sequitur because the conclusion that Yggdrasil is infinite does not logically follow from the premise. The Yggdrasil operates beyond the conventional limits of space-time, growing to enormous sizes, supporting and connecting 9 alternate countries that exist in the same 3-dimensional space due to magic existing beyond these realms. It is intertwined with the fate of the realms, life, death, etc. All of this serves to showcase the magical nature of the tree. Jumping from transcendence attributed to said magical nature to its size is an unjustified leap. Transcendence here would simply mean that some conventional limits don't restrict it. Saying that this transcendence means that it is unbound by space-time in every way is taking the word out of its context, where it was a flowery summation of all that was said before, applying it to all limits when only a select few were given. Ironically enough, hard limits were imposed on its size. Here, I assume that Warrior L is going with all limits of space-time falling under the Transcendence, despite the lack of supporting information and application of these few niche cases to all limits, making it a hasty generalization, because the alternative is that he just set the circumventable limit with no basis whatsoever, committing a nominal fallacy by using the word at its highest possible interpretation, spitting in the face of all of the context. Now, the second part of the argument argues that since the tree transcends space-time, it has no limit on it being infinite. Now this part would be just dandy all on its own, until you remember that the tree does have hard limits on both its transcendence and size, as I've shown multiple times throughout this series. In summary, the transcendence in Now Way can or does apply to every aspect of space-time. It doesn't logically support the lack of a different set of limits, or relate to the tree size.
Therefore, Mimir's statement can be seen as a literal description within the mythology of the game, rather than a hyperbolic or flowery use of language by Occam's razor.
Why Occam's razor, is it? To pretend that this illogical, non-factual, convoluted mental gymnastics event is the simplest explanation, shall we?
Doesn't need to be backed up by the game either.
Of course, it doesn't need to be backed up by the game, because if it is, how can we commit a nominal fallacy? Wank our favorite verse based on the highest interpretation of buzzwords?
Plus, I never said that transcending space-time means that you're unbound by everything.
Never said that you did. Touch some grass, kiddo.
What you can also say is that this anecdote from RHETORICAL would be, you need to prove that it is reliable because we haven't seen the actual branches fall.
Kratos gets a quest to find the stags to save the branches, and RHETORICAL was chosen by the World Tree itself, and is its only tender. He is the ultimate authority on the tree in every way, and is supported by Mimir. Not to mention that many of his more drastic claims have been verified.
That's the claim, albeit. Even if they chosen, how would that make this statement reliable? Non sequitur.
The highest authority on the topic, whose far more outrageous statements were proven, stated it. Mimir, the man who can tell no lies, confirms the above. The game gives you a quest to stop what the squirrel stated. This is far more concrete than the Transcendence, Thor splintering the Yggdrasil, and other things that Warrior L always uses. Denying this but accepting all of the rest just goes to show that he is a hypocrite.
Come on. Shane. Oh, hello there. A sentient sword. Another marble. Surters. No soul in it, though.
Are we still out there somewhere? A while back, we talked about how the giants left. You ever think about them?
All the time. They're far from here. Far from Odin and Thor. But I wonder what lands they've gone to. What seas they've crossed. I wonder what lands they've gone to. What seas they've crossed.
And checkmate.
What?
I want to find them. I'm gonna save my father, and then I'll find them. It's starting. Who is that?
Not Surtur, that's for sure. Look at all that frost.
Sinmara.
Don't think I've heard of her before. And here comes Surtur.
Wow, this must have been some fight.
Yeah, until it wasn't.
They just stopped?
Oh, no. Look, it's because they fought together.
Looks like they even became friends. Good friends.
Are they?
Yeah, I think they are.
Oh, well that's good for them.
But it looks like their, love caused them to combine into some kind of huge creature.
Ragnarok.
And then...
Ragnarok destroys Asgard.
Right. I saw that in Groa's shrine.
Well, that was... something. Oh, hey, remember the snake we put that soul in?
Can't really forget that.
I saw it. It's getting bigger. Like, faster than normal bigger.
Yeah, I had a feeling that would happen.
Huh. I'm gonna hang back here. Don't want your, friend to see a giant he missed.
Of course. Just be careful. Please.
You too, Loki.
The game shows that the branches and realms are not infinite, and that the branches that supposedly aren't limited by space-time in any way still fall due to gravity. That is...
Checkmate.
you don't need to be on that plane of existence, you can still have 8D attack potency.
Looks like Warrior L still thinks that destroying a 7-dimensional object makes you 8-dimensional. I love that he couldn't defend the fact that he said the tree is 7 or 8-dimensional because Thor destroyed it, and he earlier scaled Thor to 8-dimensional because he destroyed the tree. So he tried to perform damage control, but it was too irrelevant to even stand a chance at working.
You do realize that you also agree this is concept art, and that this is an illustration of hell. Since she's drawing the idea of God of War's hell with a description of the magnitude being infinite along with statements from the game supporting this, then ultimately, this does fulfill my burden.
No, it doesn't. How many times do I have to explain that literal and artistic representations are not the same?
That doesn't logically follow. You can have the absolute power of fire. This doesn't mean you cannot be impressed by teleportation.
So you argue that the sisters can be impressed or in awe of different abilities that they don't have. There are two huge problems with this. The first is that the sisters are incredibly arrogant and conceited, and allegedly have the greatest power. Their being in awe of a lesser power doesn't fit in with their constructed characters. The second issue arises yet again from your failure in grammar. When a particular kind of power or a particular power, aka ability, is being referred to, the sentence would be, even she had to be in awe of such a power. Not that it is a power. If the sentence just says such power instead of such a power, as the novel does, then it is talking about raw power.
No, you cannot escape the Sisters of Fate, no matter how strong you are, if you cannot resist their power.
I've already shown scans proving that it is possible and has already been done. Stop throwing the word resisting around like it's some unique ability. I've also shown how the sisters never worked unitedly against Kratos, which made their power almost impossible to circumvent. Did you not read the book or the images I showed?
So he pulls out these novel scans and doesn't elaborate how these correlate to his point. And even about light speed in this video, he doesn't elaborate how this actually fits into the narrative of the game I was referring to.
Yeah, you definitely didn't read my scans or are just trying to hand-wave them aside because you cannot deal with the harsh truth.
The only reason Kratos didn't die permanently when he died was because of the Sisters of Fate playing around and fighting among themselves. The sisters do not have absolute control unless they work together in perfect sync, and their plots against each other are directly responsible for their deaths. Furthermore, strong characters can break free of their fate if the sisters don't work together and consider every single possibility. The sisters' power isn't absolute, as there are powers that even they are in awe of. Being the strongest power in the Pantheon doesn't make it absolute. That's yet another non sequitur genius.
And the developer doesn't need to strictly confirm the scale or framework if the criteria is fulfilled.
Now, you are trying to eliminate the need to confirm the nature of the origin and intentions behind all of the contradictions. You cannot ignore that most of these contradictions are almost certainly caused by time, team changes, changes in the direction of the narrative, etc. Devs have made it crystal clear that they are trying to avoid contradictions, so it is blatantly obvious that you are burying your head in the ground like a cowardly ostrich to avoid it. Keep spinning your wanks based on headcanon.
The scan is right there, and this would essentially make him unreliable as his hypothesis of things aren't always true. Therefore, we don't know the truth value of his unverified statements, and the statements that contradict God of War are definitely dismissed. And he always gives his opinions on specific matters.
Bruno said in one post that what he said in that particular post was his opinion. But you act as if he said, everything I have ever said is purely my opinion, and may not be true. At this point, you are just grasping for straws.
It's objective that nobody on the God of War team knows actual power scaling, and this was noted when we said Kratos wasn't dimensional at all, and / that dimensional scaling doesn't work on Kratos.
Makes them more reliable. I hope I don't have to explain that a 3-days object isn't superior to lower dimensionality, as these lower dimensions make up the 3-days object's existential nature together. Thus, his statement highlights that the developers never intended for Kratos to be above dimensionality or dimensions in any way.
I didn't ignore the argument, I refuted it in the video, I just pointed out your dishonesty, so you're the one strawmanning. Here DGA Gaming just says he proved me wrong, which he didn't, by the way. Infinite future possibilities contain every possibility in that context, since we can imagine every possibility and all possibilities are infinite. Possibilities aren't even physical.
Except that we, as power scalers, know that there are infinities with different cardinalities. As I explained in my Doom cosmology video, you can have both countably and uncountably infinite possibilities and subsequent timelines. You still can't deal with the timelines not stated to form for all possibilities, or prove that these timelines are physical without headcanon, or contradicting yourself or the games.
And how am I ducking if you block me, by the way?
You avoided dealing with my arguments for 10 days, and kept deflecting them during the entire period like a professional dodgeball player using the 5 Ds.
Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
As I have shown in my first video regarding this clown, he had his fair share of chances to conduct this debate civilly. Yet his parents' failure in his upbringing shone through. Through his actions, he clarified that debating is a means to prove his superiority over the other party, instead of an intellectual discourse meant to hone ideas.
And for you people watching this video, you might have seen his new video he made with Mang. So these guys,
Thanks for the face reveal, LOL.
came together to make their own scale because DGA Gaming can't make one himself.
I thanked Mangler at the start of my video, because the videos and statements he cited in his video from a year ago were of immense use. He was not involved with the creation of this video in any direct way, except the one I have just explained. It's funny how Warrior L tries to degrade me by saying I had help making the video, as if collaboration is bad. His whole bot club started parroting this juvenile insult like it was a solid refutation of everything I had ever said.
So in case you don't know Mangler, he's Zimitorn's buddy. Both DGA Gaming and Mangler don't understand the cosmology of God of War, and the entire video is made up of a bunch of videos with a premise/interpretation written on the top. So solely basing your scale off of only a bunch of author statements and interviews is a horrible idea.
I have 2 things to say to this. Number 1, I explained why developer statements are necessary at the beginning of that video. Let's watch that part again to marvel at Warrior L's ignorance.
Why do we need developer statements, you may ask? This is because the official material never gives an explanation, thus necessitating explanations from the developers themselves. Section 2 will show all of the statements from official material in the franchise that could be relevant. Do note that some of these must be taken with a grain of salt at the very least, and care must be taken to avoid taking literary hyperbole as factual statements. To put it bluntly, the accuracy of any claim within the God of War universe is inherently questionable, primarily because these narratives are relayed secondhand and lack empirical validation.
Number 2, the developer statements roughly comprise only half of the video. The other half, what I called Section 2, almost purely consists of scenes from the game to back up Section 1. It is evident that Warrior L didn't even watch half of the video, yet he dared to make claims about it, in an epitome of the Dunning-Kruger effect. It would have gone from him committing a straw man to invincible ignorance if he had watched it.
It's good to use them to back up your statement with a scan from the actual game with the author backing it up, and when you use scenes from the actual game, your interpretation of it is practically baseless.
Thanks for validating my video.
But the entire premise of the video is cosmology is just a planet and act like the heliocentric model already exists in the Greek era. And this entire point gets disproven by Cory Barlog himself, since you guys want to rat author statements, along with your crappy ass interpretations.
This is just ad hominem. You directly jump to insults without even refuting my so-called interpretations. Anyways, let's watch his clip and break down why it supports my premise and is strongly against his.
Make this thing work. But what I would talk about was the idea that all the mythologies of the world are kind of like this Hubble telescope image. They are like galaxies individually spread out throughout a complete universe. And the world is the universe. And all the mythologies are sort of origin stories of various cultures throughout the world, beginning at the beginning of time and stretching all the way out. So at any given time, all the mythologies exist together concurrently, and they are simply separated by geography. So it's important because some people had the conception that, hey, Kratos at the end of God of War 3 destroyed the world. Well, he destroyed what they believed the world was in Greece, which was their world. Everybody believed their world was the only world. In fact, we still believe that today.
It's a horrible idea to work with people who only provide scans and claims but barely any arguments.
The whole purpose of my video was to show that, beyond reasonable doubt, the cosmology entailed is an empirical fact, as both the entire developer team and the games unanimously state or support it. It is only the lesser aspects that are up for debate. As much as it pains you, you cannot get on your high horse and verbose your way into acceptance by the masses through debates when it is a fact you are up against. I'm pretty sure you realized it, given how you shied away from arguing with the devs and instead tried to gloss over everything and present yourself as the paragon of truth.
So there's basically nothing to debunk here.
Of course, there is nothing to debunk if you skip half of the video and ignore all the arguments.
Also, their epistemic approach to these scans can be put into question really easily.
Upcoming videos will cover Kratos' immortality, the scaling of Doomguy, for which I have some spicy new scans, so make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you won't miss a thing.
Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you later, alligator.